watch them bloom for me and you.
We run labs just like any other clinic does. We can test you for West Nile. We can test you for enteroviruses. We can test you for any other kind of virus you can think of, except the Ebola virus. It's the only one we cannot run labs for. The reason is they will not release the labs for all of us to be able to test it because their assumption is, and I don't agree, I agree with the chuckle. The reason is they feel that if you're testing for Ebola, you should be in one of these CDC centers. There's some validity to that. There's definitely some validity that if you're being tested for it, then this is probably pretty darn serious, and you better be in one of the, well, there's 5 main hospitals in the United States right now, and they're adding more that are getting their CDC certifications up so they can treat Ebola. But they won't, the blood test is not released for the average person because, again, they figure if you're testing for it, you should be somewhere else. Yeah, so, but West Nile, everything else we can actually, it's a standard blood test. It's very easy to test for it, except, like I said, except for Ebola. Okay, all right, did that help?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, alrighty, so let's move on then. What can we do? Okay, so I've told you that it's really not that big a deal to the US. Okay, the Ebola is not that big a deal, it's not. I still recommend being prepared. It is a very, very, very bad disease, but it's not going to go rampant here. The ones you should be watching for are more of the flu type ones, which has the, which has like the bird flu, things of that nature. All right, so those are the diseases to actually be watching for. What do we do? Okay, almost all respiratory illnesses are viral. You can have bacterial ones like tuberculosis and things like that, but most respiratory illnesses are of an enterovirus type. They're more viral. Antibiotics have zero effect on them. So here's what you can do here to take care of yourself. And all this information is in this book. You get it for free. Like I said, you put your email down there. We will email all this information to you at no cost. What can you do? The most powerful drug everyone has at hand, okay? And everyone has access to this. I'm going to give you some kind of neat information on it. What is the most powerful, okay? What is the most powerful natural antibiotic we have? There you go. I know I've run this into the ground with a lot of patients, a lot of students, but I want to go over this in detail with you. Everybody heard of the Black Plague when it was around in the medieval days? That made the Ebola virus look like a common cold. It was a massive, it was also hemorrhagic as well. It killed between 1/3 and 1/2 of all Europeans from 1346 until sometime after 1348. Between 1/3 and 1/2 of all Europe was wiped out. And in some cities they had 1/3 wiped out, some of them had 1/2 of them wiped out. You would walk around in some of these towns and they were gone. They were barren. All the structures were there, but there were no more humans left in those towns. It is the reason why we have the culture we have today. What happened with the Black Plague? Prior to the Black Plague, we lived in what's called a feudal system. There were all the nobles, they owned everything, and you were basically given a little bit of land to work on, and still had to make all these promises like, okay, when you go to war, I'll go fight for you. I'll bring my pitchfork. None of these were trained soldiers, all right? That was the feudal system. The church, the Catholic Church, and again, it is what it is. The Catholic Church was also in control at the time. So the Catholic Church did not believe in the medical profession, okay? So, when the Black Plague hit, it wiped everything out. All of a sudden, there were no feudal people to work the fields. They did not find a miracle cure for through prayer. And I'm not saying prayer is a wonderful cure. It works great. It's like the old cliche, God helps those who help themselves. Just don't sit around praying all day, try to do something for yourself as well. Okay, and I'm going to tell you about a little group of people that did. So everything changed from the Black Plague. All of a sudden medicine started kicking in because people went, wait a minute, the Pope didn't save me, but Doc over here did. So there was a difference, and so the whole thing changed. All of a sudden, there was no more feudal society. All of a sudden people were gone. Because there were so few people left in Europe, But there was no one to till the nobles' fields. So the nobles went around going, I need people. It's like, you do, huh? I want to get paid for it. So it changed everything. One of the things that came out, and you'll have this information, were the garlic thieves. I absolutely love the story of the garlic thieves. They did apple cider vinegar, and they did garlic. And what they did was, remember if you've seen any of the movies that came out, it said bring out your dead, you know, because everyone was dying, and you bring out your dead, and then people would basically put them in wagons and haul them off to mass graves, all right? Because it was almost 100% chance that once you got the plague, you were dead. You were gone. Again, keep in mind, people didn't eat well back then either, so a lot of malnourishment. What did the garlic thieves do? They loved the bodies because nobody wanted to touch them, so there was money, jewelry, all sorts of valuable items because nobody wanted to touch it. The garlic thieves, there was about a group of 5 to 10 of them, and they went from town to town going, I'll take care of the bodies. And they took everything off the body that they wanted. The good clothes, because even nobles die. The good clothes, they took the money, they took the jewelry, they took everything. And not a one of them ever got sick. Not a one. In coming in direct contact with blood and fluids, they never got the plague. Why? Because every day before they went out on their rounds to go rob the bodies, they doused themselves internally with apple cider vinegar and with garlic. Lots and lots of garlic. And that's why they were called the garlic thieves. They never caught the plague. Because one, apple cider vinegar is very nutritious to us. We all know about apple cider vinegar. And I'm talking a lot of garlic. A lot of garlic. They reeked of garlic. And they never caught it. So you could actually come in contact with people with the plague and never catch it by just staying well nourished, taking in garlic, apple cider vinegar. That's all they did. So it worked very well. Okay, garlic has been around for about, that we know of, it's been around a long time, but in medicinal use for about 5,000 years. All right, so it's got a long history. All right, it says here, in addition to keeping the heart and blood vessels healthy, because we all know that people will use garlic for like high blood pressure, and we're going to talk about that. Research has proved that garlic lowers blood pressure, lowers your cholesterol, fends off respiratory infections, and also infections of the urinary and digestive tract. It kills off all the bad bacteria but keeps the good. Like I told many of you before, the nickname for garlic is Russian penicillin. Okay? During the first 2 world wars, Russia kept running out of penicillin, you know, when they finally did find penicillin. So then they started running out of, so what they did, they have a long history with garlic. They started using garlic on their soldiers. English saw that it was working, so they started using it on their soldiers with the stomach wounds and the septic poisoning. It cured it all. It cured every single one of them. It is a medical fact that 3 to 5 cloves of fresh garlic is the equivalent to an adult dose of penicillin. 3 to 5 cloves of garlic is equivalent to an adult dose of penicillin.
Raw, though. Raw.
Raw or in capsules. I always prefer raw, but you can do it in capsules. That's just been
But not cooked.
dehydrated. That's right. Very good question. Thank you, sweetie. Garlic is useless if it's cooked. Again, if you learn nothing else, know that garlic is useless if it's cooked. Garlic has approximately 35 sulfur compounds in it. The most important one is allicin. Okay? Allicin is the stinky one. Okay? It's also the most powerful. So what happens when you get odorless garlic? It's worthless. It's absolutely worthless because they took the good stuff out of it. So you have to stink. But consider this, if you're smelling, the people with the disease probably won't want to come near you. So it keeps them away from you. So it all is good. All right, so garlic is one of those. If you cook it, you destroy it. Cayenne is another one. Cayenne is a very, very powerful medicine. Okay, and we'll talk about that in here for you. But if you cook it, you destroy it. And who's the cousin to cayenne? Black pepper. I'll stop picking on you. Black pepper is a weak cousin to cayenne. It has many of the same properties as cayenne does, but if you cook it, you destroy it. But what else happens to cayenne when you cook it? I mean, to black pepper.
It becomes toxic.
It becomes toxic. See, I missed you that time. It becomes poisonous. It actually becomes poisonous. That's why you'll notice when you watch some of these cooking shows that most of the world's great chefs add black pepper at the end of the process, not during the cooking part, because it actually becomes poisonous to you. Okay, alrighty, so moving on, what else does garlic do for you? Okay, garlic has been found to take care of these types of illnesses. This is just a small list, alright? Alright, it has preventative or therapeutic properties and treatment of varieties of illness. A partial list that has been successfully treated with raw garlic or garlic extracts or capsules, high blood pressure, atherosclerosis, tuberculosis. We personally here in this clinic have treated tuberculosis with garlic, and it works. It kills it. It takes it out every time. We've had multiple successes with it. Okay, diabetes, okay, arthritis, cancer, hypoglycemia, bronchitis, asthma, whooping cough, pneumonia, the common cold, allergies, intestinal worms, intestinal putrefaction and gas, parasitic diarrhea, dysentery, and insomnia. Even insomnia. Maybe because your spouse won't kick you during the night, will go the other way, you can get some sleep. Not sure if that's the reason, but it works. All right. Because you definitely stayed away from me that night, didn't you?
I did.
And I slept like a baby. So, who knows? All right, so garlic takes care of these and so many other things. Because it is a broad spectrum antibiotic, it works, it works mainly on bacterial infections, but it will kill viral as well. Because almost every viral infection has a bacterial component because the body's become weakened.
I have a question, since you mentioned it for diabetes, which is a chronic disease.
Right.
Would you take that then on an ongoing basis?
Ongoing, that's right.
And how much would you take for something like that?
It depends. For chronic issues like that, you can probably take about 4 to 8 capsules a day. If you're dealing with an acute situation, like the Ebola or like the enterovirus, then I say easily, I actually will go so extreme if I know that it's an extremely serious illness, 5 capsules every hour. Every
Whoa.
single hour. If you're dealing with something as virulent as the Ebola or the West Nile, 5 capsules every hour. The good news is you only have to do it for about 4, 5, 6 days, and you're done. But
What about the bruising?
okay, great question. Great question. Okay, and then I'll get to you. Garlic is, we're going to get to that, but I'll talk about it now. Garlic is a natural blood thinner, okay? But it will not cause bleeding in someone if they're healthy, okay, if they're relatively healthy, or they have not been taking blood thinners already. Okay, what's the most common blood thinner out there? Warfarin, that's right. From warfarin, we make Coumadin, blah, blah, blah. Okay, I've told all you this before. Where does warfarin come from? You guess? Rat poison. That's rat poison. Warfarin is rat poison. In the 1950s, this is how they discovered it. In the 1950s, warfarin was the world's most popular rat poison. It was used all over the world, United States, Europe, Australia, Canada, England, it was everywhere. It's what people used on a norm to go kill their rats. One guy decided that he wanted to commit suicide. So he took a huge dose of warfarin. He ate his rat poison. He goes, I want to die, I want out of here. And it almost killed him. Fortunately, they got him to the hospital in time, pumped his stomach out. The residing physician at the time at the emergency room looked and went, wow, this guy's bleeding a lot. This is cool. This works really well as a blood thinner. Ever since this attempted suicide, they have been using warfarin in humans. Prior to the attempted suicide, they did not use it in humans. It is a great blood thinner. Okay. And that's why a lot of physicians will tell you when you're on a blood thinner, you can't eat garlic. You can't have things like broccoli because it's vitamin K, which works in the other direction. You can't have cayenne. I've had patients come in here on blood thinners and we're told, don't eat cayenne, don't eat garlic. Because they are, they're natural blood thinners. But they're not the kind of blood thinners that most of you are used to. How does warfarin work? Warfarin works because, you know the little story about the little boy in the dike? You know, he stuck his finger in the dam to stop the water from flowing out. It's an old kid story. I don't think they're told much anymore. But he'd stick his thumb. That's what clotting does. A blood thinner is because, unless you have a heart stent, which is a different situation, you have a tear, a hole, or something in one of your arteries, capillaries, veins, somewhere you have a hole. Your body clots to plug it. Why is it doing that? It's a Band-Aid, so that eventually it will heal. All right? Okay? Is clotting a good thing? Very, very good thing. Can clotting be a dangerous thing? Absolutely. Because a lot of people that are dealing with this are so malnourished, are so out of shape, their bodies are so weak, that if they do start clotting, sometimes that clot will break off and go to the head, and you get a stroke. I understand the logic behind what they're doing. I don't agree with what they're doing. When you take a blood thinner, you stop it. You stop the healing process. Boom. You will take blood thinners, most people, for the rest of your life once you get started on them. Because if you stop it, what if you have an open wound, all right? You keep picking at the scab, keep taking it off. Is that thing ever going to heal? It's going to take, at the very best, it's going to take a long time to heal. But if you let it clot, it will heal. So what's our compromise? In a weak person, if we let them clot, they could get a stroke, right? So what do? We do, don't we, massive doses of garlic and cayenne. It will thin their blood. I've seen it time and time again. It will thin their blood enough to where they don't get a stroke, but they still allow you to platelet cayenne and garlic. So you will heal while still taking care of making sure that they don't get a stroke. So unless there's something seriously wrong with somebody, I have never seen garlic cause bleeding. What garlic will do is if someone is already on a blood thinner, like Coumadin, warfarin, things like that, it makes the Coumadin and warfarin work even better. So all of a sudden you are bleeding to death. You know, I have actually seen people on baby aspirins. We're told don't take garlic because it'll make the baby aspirin work too well, because baby aspirin is a blood thinner also. And this is a part where I kind of get a little angry with a lot of the medical establishment. They will come to you and they'll say, okay, I'm going to put you on these drugs. I'm going to put you on the standard dosage. You can't have any good food. You can't have garlic, can't have broccoli, can't have Brussels sprouts, can't have cayenne, can't have all these things.
Grapefruit.
Grapefruit? That's right, exactly. Can't have grapefruit, can't have all these things, because it messes up my drug. And I'm really too busy to deal with you, so I'm going to give you the standard dosage, so don't eat this good food. Okay, this is where I differ strongly. All healthcare practitioners work for you. You go back to that healthcare practitioner and you go, the only way I'm ever going to heal is if I have a decent diet. I'm going to eat my food, you're going to monitor me better, you're going to do your job. That's one of the biggest things that I can get angry over, is that Jane or John Doe goes in and they only get about 6 minutes per patient. That's about all the average physician gets, is about 6 to 10 minutes per patient. They don't have a lot of time. So they're going to just give you the standard dosage, pop you out so they can get the next one in, and get the next one in. And they're going to tell you, here's a sheet of things you can and cannot eat. You're going to go, you work for me. I'm going to eat all the good food, and you're going to monitor me better, and you're going to knock the dosage down. Oh my, if garlic makes your stuff work better, then you drop the dosage and I'll eat tons of garlic. All right, because garlic will make me heal. Your stuff I never will heal with. So you're rarely ever going to bleed unless they're already on a blood thinner, and it can be something as simple as a baby aspirin that can cause it.
But the bruising of the skin, is that?
If someone bruises because they're on garlic, and I've never seen it, though I can say that it could possibly happen, there's something very wrong with their circulatory system. Their circulatory system is already, the muscles in the circulatory system is already weak. We have 3 types of muscle groups in our body. The one that we're talking about now is called the smooth muscle group. All the circulatory system, not the heart, but all the veins and vessels and everything, are made from what's called smooth muscles. Because all of our arteries are made with muscles. That's why we have blood pressure, all right? Because they contract and expand, all right? Cayenne, garlic, and such like that, they actually heal the smooth muscle group. So you take this stuff long enough, you won't need your blood thinners. You won't need high blood pressure medication, and we'll talk all about that in a little bit. Okay, so I personally have never seen anybody on pure garlic ever bleed, ever, ever. They are usually on some other kind of medication, or they were on it for such a long period of time that their vessels are in really bad shape. Okay? All right, so, yes.
Okay, the question I had earlier, Arundel,
Right.
is, I mean, I understand that you can do the garlic and supplement.
Let me bring you songs from the woods to make you feel much better than you could know.